So the gym can already be a very intimidating place for a lot of people, even if you are an experienced lifter, even if you're going into a new gym, something like that, or you're trying to work out some form on some different exercises or things. It can be very intimidating and very stressful. So today what I wanted to do is to break it down just a little bit more on some of these lifts. More specifically, today is going to be the bench press, and to go over some of the form intricacies and things, whether you are new to the gym or you are an experienced lifter, that maybe will help you in order to increase your bench press or to feel more comfortable under the bench. So when we start this, we're going to start with just how we're going to set up with the bench. So typically with any sort of bench, this is going to be a powerlifting specific bench. So there's going to be a lot of different variation in terms of how you can adjust this. You can adjust it up and down, however the case is. Normally you're going to go into a bench that's going to be just 3 different heights, 2 different heights, depending upon where the safeties are. So it's not going to be as complicated as something like this would be. But for this one, it's already set kind of where I usually set it. So it's going to be a little bit easier to do. So with this, there's a few different variations that you can do with the bench, and a lot of it's going to be off of comfortability. So a lot of the bench, even though it is an upper body type movement, is going to come from the floor. A lot of power transfer is going to be coming from the floor in order for you to push the weight, especially if you're trying to push a lot of weight. Now, if you're just trying to work on building up your upper body, you may not focus too much on ensuring that you're doing some power transfer from the floor into your lift. If you are, this part is going to be crucial for you. So there's 2 different ways that you can do this. Normally, you can either go flat-footed or you can go toes. Depending upon who the person is, they might find a little bit of a better transfer, depending upon if they're flat foot or if they're on their toes. So for me, whenever I go into this, you're going to set up underneath. The first thing I'm going to do is set up my feet. And so I was normally a toe person, and I'd push off of my toes, and you'd see me drive back towards the wall. With this, now I go flat-footed, and I go a little bit closer. And so for this one, I feel a lot more of a power transfer. So I feel a lot more of being driven back as opposed to just on my toes. And so that's going to be your first thing, is experimenting which one is more comfortable for you. Are you getting more power transfer from your toes or just flat-footed? The second thing that you're going to do is, where do you put your nose underneath your bar? And so what I like to do is go nose right underneath the bar, or you can do like the very tip of your nose on the very closest to the wall portion of the bar, or whatever is behind the bench. And so you'll set up here. From here, what I want you to think about is drawing your elbows in and bending the bar, and then setting up that platform here. So you're going to see a big difference if I'm just flat here, as opposed to bringing in and creating a platform in my back. What that's going to do is going to allow for a more stable base. So when the weight goes up, you're going to feel a lot more stable on the bench and feel like you're not going to be sliding around, moving around. So from here, now you want to look into where you want to transfer or put your hands. So this is all going to depend upon how long your arms are, what's more comfortable for you, where you feel it more. The wider you go, you might feel it more in your shoulder. The closer you go, the more it's going to be in your triceps. So you want to find that happy medium. Normally for me, I go pinky right on the where the knurling stops, and you get like a little smooth ring. Put your pinky on that and go on to each side. And so now you're technically set up for the bench. So now all you're going to do is take it off the rack and bring it down. So for this one, what I want you to think about is, instead of having your elbows flared, remember, and then pressing it out, I want you to think about, as you're getting ready to explode off, you see that my elbows turn in. So right there, I'm engaging my back, I'm engaging my lats to help me build that platform for some stronger pushing power. And so from here, what I'm going to do, everything is flat. I have that nice solid base in my back. I'm going to bend the bar and raise it. And so from here, I'm going to set it underneath my chest and then push my knuckles up towards the ceiling. So we want to avoid here and putting some overstressing our wrists. We want to push our knuckles straight forward towards the ceiling. We're going to bring it all the way down while trying to keep still, bend this bar, touch the bottom part of our chest, and then come right back up. So it's important to hit that bottom part of your chest and then come right back up, as opposed to coming up high or coming low. We want to be sure that we're engaging the muscle properly. So we're coming right to the bottom of our chest and then exploding up. And then from there, throw your bar back and then rack it. And so for this exercise, you're going to see that there are a lot of different variations and things, and it's going to get really confusing. So you can watch this video while you're setting up your bench or while you're trying to figure it out and think about it. But the main things that I want you to think about, especially if you're new to the gym and haven't really benched before, I want you to think about your hand placement, making sure that it is proper, where you feel more so your chest than your shoulders or your triceps. I want you to also think about bending that bar. It's easier to learn it from the very beginning than to press for months or years and then have to reteach yourself in order to bend that bar and engage the appropriate muscles so that we can push some more weight. You're going to hit a plateau a lot sooner if we're not engaging those muscles properly. And then the other thing I would have to stress with you is keeping those knuckles pointed towards the ceiling. It's going to be the same exact thing. For me, I bench pressed for the longest time with my wrists relaxed. And so what that did, and I'm still kind of nursing it a little bit, is it put a lot of extra stress onto my wrist. And so then it develops into some wrist pain here and there that you kind of have to work yourself through. So just think about not necessarily locking them out, but keeping those knuckles pointed towards the ceiling at all times. We want to be sure that everything is rigid. We want to be sure that we're getting enough pressing power. We want to be sure that we don't overly stress the wrist or any other area of our body when we are bench pressing. So think about all of those things. Just think about bending that bar. Think about having that platform in your back and then pointing those knuckles up. Everything else is going to come with it. That's going to take some time. Some things that I would recommend, especially if you are new to bench pressing. What I would do is before you throw any weight on, I would take 2 or 3 sets, which is just groups of reps, and I would do 10 reps. So do a bench press 10 times with just the bar, do it with a PVC pipe, a piece of wood, anything that you can feel and mimic the movement so that you can get a lot more comfortable with it. The more reps that you're going to have, the more comfortable that you're going to do it, the more ingrained that it's going to feel into your brain, so that when we go up in weight or we start to add weight, you're not necessarily thinking about all the little intricacies or things that you need to think about when you're benching. All you're thinking about is going into the movement. You're locked in. You're just thinking about the weight that you're going to do and how you can further move that weight up, or what you may need to do rep-wise or whatever the case may be for that given day. So if you have any questions on the bench, leave those down below. Let us know what you think. If you have any specific questions on, well, I'm not necessarily feeling it in my chest right now, how should I feel it in my chest, or how do I improve that? Leave that down below. That's something else that I'm going to go over later on in a future video. It's one of the main things that's going to help you throughout the entire gym going process. So if this helped, stay tuned, because squat and deadlift are on the way.